of Science, the Nigerian Academy of Engineering, and the Energy Institute of the UK. In fact, just in 2024, it was conferred with an honorary Doctor of Engineering degree at ATBU and named Professor Emeritus at Usman Danfodio University. And just this past January in 2025, he was inducted as the 20th President of the Nigerian Academy of Science. Professor, I can keep going. Your CV is very, very impressive. But I know our audience are eager to hear your thoughts. When we talk about electric vehicle in a nation where we are still fighting for grid stability, it takes a visionary to actually map out the future. And quite frankly, there's nobody better suited to talk about research, development, and charging stations and the way forward than you. So, Professor Sambo, welcome to our research seminar. And the floor is yours, sir. You can go on. You can take the stage. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank God,
Can
sir.
you let me share my screen?
Yes, sir. You can proceed.
Not yet, sir.
You can proceed to share your screen, sir.
Okay. Can you see it now? Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it. We can see it, sir. Okay.
Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, we can see it, sir. I can see it.
Hello? Can you
Yes,
hear
sir.
me?
We can see the screen now, sir.
We can
hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, I want to conservation, and the electric vehicle is definitely one of them. I've been according a lot of my attention on when I was contacted. I did not hesitate to give the topic that you had. And the idea, a few sections, there's an introduction that will be a little bit lengthy. Then prospects of electric vehicles will also be quite expensive.
Yes. How am I not hearing it? Are you hearing it? Okay, I'm not connected. Oh, okay.
On or am I off? Hello?
Yeah, sorry, sir. I think there was a reception issues from yeah.
Am I back now? Can you
Yeah,
see
you're
my
back.
slides?
Yes, sir. We can see your slide itself. Very visible.
Very
sir.
good. Very good. So, like I started saying, I'm sure most of you on this webinar already know that the electric vehicle issue is one that several countries that have been active in the area are trying to use it to significantly reduce the emission from their transport sectors. And those countries, many of them, you will be surprised, they have long-term plan of applying the principles of electric vehicles to the entire transportation value chain, from motorcycles, tricycles, cars, buses, trains, trucks, ships, aeroplanes, and even combined harvesters, tractors, all engines that utilize fossil fuels. That's the plan. And when you do that, then you have very much cleaner environment. Again, just for the purpose of completeness, I know many of you already know all the things on this slide, but maybe there are one or two who may not be aware that an electric vehicle is nothing but a system that is propelled by one or two or three electric motors that are powered by rechargeable batteries, which are in turn charged by electricity, the frequency of which will depend on the capacity of the batteries and the distances traveled. And this automatically means petrol or diesel or aviation kerosene are replaced by electricity stored in batteries. And this also means that the usual combustion of petrol or aviation kerosene or diesel in fuel vehicles and the accompanying carburetor and injector systems are all replaced by electric motors of electric vehicles that simply do nothing but activation of the driving shafts. And what I think pulls energy management experts to electric vehicles is the fact that while in your conventional fuel vehicle, it has about 200 moving parts, that in an electric vehicle is just about 20. And like I mentioned at the beginning, nations at the forefront of electric vehicle revolution, they want to transit all their fuel vehicles, all of them, to the principles of the EVs. Now, if we move on, okay, I want to move on to show pictorials of what I've been talking about, and you simply see that it has the electric vehicle pictures here, and you can see the conventional engine is all replaced with just batteries, and it makes the vehicle even lighter. You have basically 6 components. You have the traction battery pack, you have the power inverter, you have the controller, you have the electric traction motor, you have the transmission and body, and of course, rooftop. Some designs of the rooftop put some solar panels there so that as you are driving the EVs and the battery is down, it will automatically be charging in most of our climes with a lot of sunlight. Now, when electric vehicles came, some of our people are very conservative. So you have full EVs, you have hybrid mixture, and all kinds of designs and slides. But for the purpose of our discussion, my focus is a pure electric vehicle, the one that is not having any mixture of internal combustion. And that, when I checked a few years ago, I saw that China is moving far ahead than any other country in trying to utilize electric vehicles. In fact, about a month and a half ago, I was taken to a site in Abuja where a Nigerian has imported several electric vehicles from China. He's selling them. I will discuss a little bit later on that. But you can see America is following, Europe is fast behind, and then several other countries, but most of them in the developed part of the world. On the right-hand side of the slides, what I was talking about, the entire value chain of the transport sector. And you have the tractors, the construction, forklift, industry, and all this that utilize fossil fuels. The idea at the end of the day is to convert all of them to principles of electric vehicles. What I should say that several African countries are moving fast in this area. You have, as you travel, like I've been traveling on African Union activities, you see several electric vehicles, and some countries are moving faster than Nigeria. You have charging stations already in South Africa. You have them in Uganda, Rwanda, Ethiopia, even close to us. Ghana is doing a lot on electric vehicles. And then, like I was saying, all over Africa, you have the buses also being converted to principles of electric vehicles. Now, in Nigeria, I want to say at the moment, we have an electric vehicle strategy, which is part of the Nigerian Automotive Industry Development Plan, NAIDP, which is being handled by the National Automotive Design and Development Council. And the production target in that EV strategy is to have 30% of all vehicles produced locally in the country, and with 40% local content by 2032, just about 6 years to come. Now, something that looks good to me is what the government did January this year by entering into memorandum of understanding with South Korea's Asia Economic Development Committee to establish an EV manufacturing plant in Nigeria. And the facility is expected to have a production capacity of 300,000. This looks large, but if you look at the population of Nigeria, over 230 million is not large. And if you consider the fact, I will come a little bit later, we have between 11 and 13 million vehicles plying Nigerian roads. So you can see the figure is not too large. And that the NADDC also is constructing 23 training centers where EV principles will be taught around the geopolitical zones of the country. Now, something better than the EV strategy of the NADDC is the Electric Vehicle Transition and Green Mobility Bill, which has passed its second reading since May last year. I am worried. May last year, they haven't done the last reading. You know, once they do third reading, then they pass it into law. So I don't know what's happening. I have a recommendation underway forward for Emmanuel Ogedengbe and you, all of you, to move this forward. Now, again, this legal document, it is coming with beautiful things. It has local assembly mandates, the charging infrastructure, and then it is also all out to incentivize the use of electric vehicles in the country. Of course, there is provision for some penalties. Those who don't follow the rules will be penalized. To me, what I saw in the draft bill is very punitive, but of course, it can be more or less modified. And, you know, by the time they do the third reading, just before passing it into law, they will have to do a public hearing. And that is why groups like ours should go to that public hearing to amend the bill before it is passed into law. And I hope we will not forget to do that when the time comes. Now, moving to another section, that is what I call prospects, is just to give you a quick overview of what is happening all over the world. Now, again, few years, but I checked also about 3 days ago to update some of these figures. So I've updated the figures as much as possible. The number of EVs is projected to be about 145 million by 2030. And several African countries, like I mentioned a little earlier, they are very serious about their activities to produce locally electric vehicles. Nigeria's energy transition plan, with the pledge that Nigeria will attain net zero carbon emission by 2060, which was launched in August 2022, provides that 80% of the nation's passenger cars, along with 2- and 3-wheelers, will be EVs powered by auto gas and compressed natural gas. TechPoint estimates that about 20,000 EVs are currently on Nigerian roads. Now, you will think that this is very big. 20,000 EVs plying Nigerian roads, this is not big. If you consider the internal combustion vehicles plying Nigerian roads, they are between 11.7 to 13.9 million. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics and the Federal Road Safety gave slightly different figures, but within this range. So 20,000 are EVs, but total vehicles are about 13 point something million. So EVs are still not yet there. We have to do a lot of work. Now, again, under this consideration, I'm sure all of you are aware that in February 2021, during the time when Jelani Aliyu was the DG of NADC, the first locally assembled 100% EV by Hyundai Kona was done, and the federal government invested the figure about 1 billion in the Automobile Act 2019, and then several other automobile assemblers are making efforts to assemble EVs. Several of them are succeeding, especially Lagos, Abuja, and I think a few in Kaduna, a few in Kano, and in Port Harcourt, Ibadan, you see quite a number. But all the same, the figures are not large compared to the size of the automobiles flying Nigeria. I'm even ashamed to quote the percentage. Percentage is so negligible. But I think, like the Chinese people say, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Here, the EVs are much more than one step. There are several steps. Now, I want to move quickly to show you that one of the earliest EV that was demonstrated was the Bamu electric motorcycle project of Ogun State, which was supported by Federal Ministry of Power, the European Union, and the German government under its Nigerian Energy Support Program. And what I like about that project was that even before it went too far, several villages were saying they want that kind of Bamu project. And you can see on the left-hand side, the current governor, when he was sworn into office, he also endorsed it. As you can see him riding one of the EVs at the bottom of that left-hand side, which I like very much. I like the way he has embraced electric motorcycles. And even some of us out of office who are still being decided, when are you bringing me Bamu to my village? When are you bringing Bamu to my village? Well, I think it's a good thing. One beautiful thing they did, not just battery EV, battery charging, they organized one thing that is very good, battery swapping. So when your battery is down, you are already registered with them. They'll take your battery and give you already fully charged one. So next time you come, it goes like that. Very nice. Now, again, you can see there are some near Kaduna Polytechnic. This slide shows on the top how they are converting tricycle to the principles of electric vehicles. At the bottom, there are two charging stations, EV charging station. On the left bottom is that at the Energy Commission of Nigeria in Abuja. On the right is the one I think most of you already know. That is at the University of Lagos. This slide is showing several. Actually, National Automotive Design and Development Council on the top left, they have one. Then again, another picture of the Lagos Center. And then on the right is a private charging station in Lagos. At the bottom, two other charging stations in Lagos. So you can see they are coming up. This picture on the top left is one close to the head of service, opposite Eagle Square in Abuja. And that is where the private sector man running the place went to import EVs from China, large number of them. When we visited to inspect the place, like I said, about 1 month ago, he was trying to offer us a reduced price, but was still negotiating with them. Then I think all these pictures on this on the same company. He has one you can see in Abuja at the bottom. Even the very bottom is in Abuja, but on the right, the two on the right, top, and the middle, at his own charging stations in Kano. This slide is showing the first Hyundai corner rolled out in Nigeria at the top. At the bottom is the EV charging station of Usman Danfodio University. When the former DG gave us at the university, I have shown for this one the solar panels at the middle, and then the control room at the right hand side. You can see the DG was covering his face. I think it was the time when COVID-19 was not too long, so he was still afraid of catching the deadly virus. This slide is showing several on the sorry, his Unilag charging station is on the right. That production of the students of Unilag. At the bottom, students of Suka. This are the bottom vehicles. Electric vehicles are not yet adopted, and I've
Reception is bad. Well, I hope we are actually getting one about the transition. We'll just likely wait a little bit for him to come back online. Just back shortly. Thank you.
Hello, hello, am I on?
Yeah, you're on, sir. You're on, sir.
Welcome back, Prof.
Am I on? Okay, I think my internet is
Yeah,
yes.
the internet is not unstable. But you can go on, sir. You can go on, sir.
I think this is where yes, I was on this slide. So I don't want to bore you. Just lack of legal and regulatory framework. We have the policy, well, not real policy, but say it's like EV strategy. While the law is under the Senate, is being produced by Senate, but still is not yet there. Then again, a large number of Nigerians are even making fun of electric vehicles. Even educated engineers and scientists and are making fun of it. They have not settled down to understand the benefits of electric vehicles. Then the numbers produced really are too few, too low for me. Too low, too low, too low. And then again, there's lack of regular and there's inadequate number of charging stations. Charging stations at the last count, I saw something like 80. But I want to tell all of you, I checked 3 days ago, the number of filling stations registered are 22,681 registered. Some estimates is saying there are about 31,000 many. EV charging station 80, only 80, I'm told. Even that 80, many of them are not public. Many are not public yet. And when you compare with 22,680, I think we're far behind. Then there's again the lack of electricity, which is why many of us are saying, when you say you don't have electricity, like some of those who don't like EVs, they say you don't have electricity, now you want to bring electricity. I said, no, when you wait, if you say we should wait then you are saying we should never, because some people are saying that before electricity becomes regular and reliable, it will take several, but then God the Almighty has given us solar energy. So we're solar powered charging stations, and they're spreading all over Africa. And that's the focus that many of us are pushing all of us to go. Then again, there's the number of sales outlets are not enough. Of course, this is understandable because it's a relatively new technology, new system. The banks will be very careful in giving the loans that are needed to set up the businesses. Again, on issue of training, is issue of Nigerians being vast in the entire value chain. And if you look at the National Energy Manpower Development Plan that is being handled by several ministries, I know the Energy Commission is concerned with the National Energy Manpower Development Plan. I started it while I was the Energy Commission. It's only now Energy Commission, and I'm aware current too, the Council for Regulation of Engineering, they are opening chapters on electric vehicles under the training and capacity building. Then again, local content is too low for the assembly. I will talk about this a little bit later. Then again, something again related to issue of awareness is slowness in adopting electric vehicles. I want to jump quickly to the way forward. And the first recommendation is to charge all of us in this forum organizing the webinar. I think stakeholders like SMART should team up with the National Automotive Design and Development Council to actively support the Senate to ensure speedy passage of electric vehicle transition and green mobility bill into law. I'm saying this because that second reading was done November last year. What is slowing them? Are there some people trying to say it should not be done? So that's why I think SMART, I think you should arrange to pay courtesy call on the Senate committee handling this bill to push them. But before going, I think better team up with NADDC because NADDC may find it easy to book for the appointment and try to encourage them to see that the bill is duly passed into law and Mr. President signs it, accents to it. But in the meantime, stakeholders should also support NADC to continue working, implementing the electric vehicle strategy. Now it's just a strategy, but I think that strategy also is good. And again, we should see that road shows are organized and participation in trade fairs and exhibition. There are several units of electric vehicles all over the place that can be displayed at these trade fairs and exhibitions. And then I think there is need also to take steps for partnering with the organized private sector in line with federal government's public-private partnership policy for the local manufacture of electric vehicles, components of EVs and their solar power charging stations, and their deep cycle rechargeable batteries, all of which should start with local assembly at first, but have increasing local content in line with the government's local content policy. Now, the current poor electricity supply can be effectively addressed by the NADDC adopting design of the EV charging stations that it built in 3 universities, UNILAG, University of Nigeria, and Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. And that design, I think, is okay, and all powered by solar PV modules and their balance of system components. Now, for those of you who are interested in these solar panels and the batteries and the charge controllers and the inverters, I'm sure you may not know, but the African Development Bank has provision for Africa entrepreneur who want to go into production of these components to apply under the provision they kept, so that they will assist you to build the plants for producing solar panels, inverters, charge controllers, and so on and so forth, including the batteries. And when with the African Continental Free Trade Area, I think you have no problem selling them within the African continent. Now, the challenge of inadequate sales and service outlets will be addressed by incentivizing their establishment with such schemes as instituting tax holidays. And this should come along with adoption of policies by ministries, departments, and agencies and private sector companies to provide loans to employees specifically to acquire electric vehicles. Again, other steps that can be pursued while waiting for the law from Senate is to adopt viable early stage business models. This battery swapping, I mentioned it under the Bamu Bamu project, fleet aggregation, and solar-powered micro-charging hubs. They are most realistic near-term models for Nigeria's weak grid conditions. Then there's grid-independent charging, with only 4,000 megawatts serving more than 200 million Nigerians. Electric vehicles charging must rely on solar. Those who are still conservative can have a hybrid solar and diesel. But for me, I will just go fully solar and then microgrids rather than waiting for full grid form. Then the local assembly and the industrial policy. EV, the electric vehicle bill, requires foreign automakers to partner with Nigerian assemblers, build plants within 3 years, and reach 30% local content by 2030. And this will accelerate job creation and reduces import dependence. Now, on the issue of fiscal and incentives and enforcement, Nigeria already offers zero import duties, VAT exemptions, and 10-year tax holiday for EV assembly plants. The next step is to strict enforcement of standards, and there, Standard Organization of Nigeria will come very handy. Then the issue of public transportation, government procurement of electric, for example, the 200 buses acquired last year, it will help build demand, charging networks, and public familiarity with EVs. Something that I've not put very clearly, this issue of local content, in the full paper I developed, we said let the NADDC work with the 3 centers it has established to do active research and development there to increase the local content higher and higher and higher. There's a more detailed write-up in that regard. And those of you associated with the center at UNILAG, you may be aware of this. Now, again, on this issue, manufacturing of solar-powered traction should take a number of steps. And I've mentioned the summary, but the detail is here. Selecting an already existing EV manufacturer with the desired vehicle types, then entering into agreement with the manufacturer for exporting to Nigeria, agreeing on a progressive increase in the local content, then agreeing with the manufacturer on training of Nigerians, then involving the private sector through such bodies like Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, the National Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, and Manufacturing, Mining and Agriculture, for effective implementation of the EV manufacturing process, and then recommending the inclusion of this in the National Automotive Industry Development Plan. But of course, this NAIDP is eventually going to be overtaken by the bill that is under the Senate at the moment. Again, the issue of charging stations I want to show you here the design consideration that was put forward by the NADC. This is the parameters I got when I was still, I had not retired from Sokoto. So these are the details. I think they are okay. You can tweak them here and there to fit your particular purpose. We want to increase or reduce. The thing with EV charging station, you can charge your EV in your house. You can charge your EV in your workplace. You can charge it in the church. You can charge it at the hospital. You can charge it at the supermarket. So it's slightly different from petrol filling station. You can have it much more in a wider way all over the place. Now, I want to show you the different ways the EV charging stations are. Look at the basic arrangement top left. Then you have a fanciful arrangement like the one you have in office block on the right hand side. At the bottom is like in a residential, bottom left residential plane. And then on the right hand side is a typical EV sales and service place. Then you have different like this one in on the left American style where you have several vehicles. Then the Indian style on the right hand side is almost the same design. Now, one issue, ladies and gentlemen, that will create some arguments is banning the local importation and local assembly of internal combustion engines. Several countries that have succeeded to gain adoption of electric vehicles did this by putting deadline by so date. Don't import any internal combustion by so date. Don't assemble. But let me quickly clarify that even with these two bans, if already there are internal combustion, all the governments don't say don't use them. But of course, you know, once you put a ban, then it's going to encourage speedy acquisition of electric vehicles. And I think I have stayed in meetings where we had hot arguments, but in the end of the day, everybody understood that we are not saying don't use internal combustion cars. You can use them, but the local production has to stop by so year. That's the idea. If you really believe that electric mobility is the way forward, like it is already in our energy transition plan, then you can't run away from coming with a date to say we should stop producing and importing internal combustion vehicle. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to conclude with just 3 points. Number one, the National Automotive Design and Development Council has done very well in creating some awareness of the benefits to the nation of adopting electric vehicle strategy in the nation. Stakeholders like SMART actively support the Senate to pass a bill which will address the current challenges bedeviling the entrenchment of electric vehicles in our country. And lastly, Nigeria should follow the examples of several countries that fastened the adoption of EVs by setting the deadline for stoppage of the importation and local assembly of internal combustion engine vehicles. I want to thank all of you for sparing time to hear. Those of you that are active in the area, it will be a little bit boring. Those who are not in the area may see some aspects as radical. But at the end of the day, if we really mean well for our country, electric vehicles should be supported. And I will quickly say, I have some of my friends some of my colleagues that we graduated together who are in the oil and gas, they say, oh, yes, yes, yes. If you push this, then our oil and gas will be conserved. We conserve it for heavier industries to use for more years to come, since no matter the reserve. So if we want to be good for our grandchildren, let's conserve oil and gas by adopting these technologies so that our grandchildren, as I said, will have the chance to benefit from oil and gas for the heavy industries. Thank you once again.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Abubakar Sani Sambo. That's a wonderful presentation from you. And I really want to appreciate the depth of knowledge, the experience, the data that you have thrown out to us, so much among us, for us, to spend the next couple of weeks just chewing them and working on them. Thanks also for all the recommendations that you have provided. And just as we also understand that it appears you really have prepared your presentation to situate the intentions that we have in mind by putting up this weekly live webinar, because it was just a strategic plan towards the conference that we are going to have in October. And I want to let the audience also know that Professor Sambo has accepted to be the keynote speaker for that conference. And as I look at the presentations today, there are a lot of questions that I believe that between now and October, we need to put together to really bring a lot of stakeholders that maybe we come for that very conference to really discuss. And it appears even the topic of the keynote speech, can be lifted from the presentation that Prof has given now, in even the conclusion. So I want to believe that there are so much that need to be packaged, but I will be working closely with Prof after now as we try to round up this live webinar by the end of this very month, so that we can fully focus on planning for the conference, so that all that the questions and the consultation that you have asked us not to make, like a meeting with the NADDC, and whatever we can do to galvanize most of all the other stakeholders together. Possibly we can have a situation where we will have another round table discussion at a conference, to really discuss this, and particularly how to get the Senate committee to pass the bill. So I want to thank you very much for the time, and to say that we will be coming back and engaging you. You will not mind, please, to really give us the time to ensure that we do all the planning very well, and we'll follow the instruction that you have given to us. We want to follow those instructions. So we have already put some draft together, which we are going to share with you about what we expect for the conference. I believe you might want to review them and maybe guide us on how to go about working the recommendation you are giving us together. I hope that's okay by you, sir. Hello, Prof. I'm asking you, sir. I don't think we have lost Prof. Maybe network. Okay, but we can just still continue now transitioning to the Q&A. we get to bring I think the network, yes, the internet fluctuation is happening. So we will wait a little bit for Prof to come back, so that I will hand over to the moderator so that he can coordinate the Q&A section. So, but before Prof comes back, I believe that we have all been charged, and we have been able to pen down some things that we have learned.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, my internet is playing up. I have to change from MTN to Airtel now.
Okay, okay.
I had your question. Just get in touch with me. I'm willing to participate in the conference, and when you send me the document, I will review it as quickly as possible. I'm interested in this area. As you know, one thing. Maybe I can mention it here. When the Energy Commission was contacted, and I was told they are taking away nuclear centers, 2 of them, Ife and APU Zaria, and they're giving me chance to set up 4. They take away 2, they are setting 4. I should recommend. So we said the Center for Energy Efficiency and Conservation. We ask ourselves, which part of Nigeria you have largest number of industries, largest number on household, largest number of transports, the major sectors where you can do energy management. You didn't beg for it. We just fix it there. Because Lagos is the place, and I'm glad you are one of the key officials there. You didn't ask. The VC was surprised, happily surprised when I called him. I said we are coming. He said he's also coming to Abuja, so he came.
That is wonderful. That's wonderful. So
when you are looking to, like now, you see you are picking the transport sector, which is correct. Largest number of transport, the motorcycles, the tricycles, the cars, the buses, even the aeroplanes are more in Lagos.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So I think, So anything to help something that came out of that center, I will do it. Any given time, even midnight, you can call me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
I now belong to Agbalagba. We don't sleep too much.
Thank you very much, Prof. We really appreciate that. So we'll obviously wait for the draft next week. I'll just review with the smart management committee. We will send it to me, even maybe before the end of the week, and then as early as possible next week. I trust that I will follow with you, and then we will go from there. Thank you very much, Prof. So moderator, over to you, so that we can ask, we can get the participant to ask Prof the questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, Professor Sambo, for that incredible and insightful presentation. You have given us a masterclass in direction of energy policy, engineering, and forward thinking. I know I speak for everyone when I say that the idea of moving forward amidst our electrical challenges is now much clearer. So, but now we are in our question and answer period, and we would like to host people's questions so that Professor Sambo can help us answer. Okay, I think I can see one question here. The chat. You guys please post your question in the chat. Okay, so this question says that what critical components must research and development focus on to adapt electrical vehicles to the unique tropical climate and terrain of West Africa?
Well, really, when you say climate, the way electric vehicles are designed, are operated, you can see you have the set of batteries, you have the driving shaft, you have the normal body. So there's nothing specifically to say temperature or whatever. Batteries operate, there are batteries that operate in Nigeria. So that's why we're saying the best thing to do is to get these companies to come and pick on deposits of this lithium. Lithium now gives one of the best batteries. There are several states where lithium is, and I'm aware some companies from Asia have come to Nasarawa State. They are talking. Even I think Lagos, there was talk of Lagos to set up battery manufacturing. These batteries, they will serve electric vehicles. They will also serve renewable electricity, because solar energy, wind energy, they are periodic. The time when they are plentiful may not be the time when they are going to be used. Of course, you use energy day and night. Solar is mostly in the day, so you use battery to store the energy. So the batteries are there. You have the charge controllers, and and uh, I think that's about it. The other things are not weather dependent. It's just the batteries, and there will be no problem in that regard. I think there is no problem at all.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for that answer. And I want to believe that the person asking the question has been able to get a better answer for them. So, the next we are moving on to the next question, and it says, "What database in NAS creating for what database is NAS creating for the EV sector in order to determine their contribution to the economy and make the government committed to the deployment of EV?"
Well,
I think it means NASS.
Okay.
Not the NAS. The Senate, actually, I believe.
well, the Senate, what they did, they consulted the National Automotive Design and Development Council. They consulted many experts around to gather information. They did their own check. In Senate, they have legislative assistants, and they gathered a lot of information. I want to believe the documents they got are largely correct. And let me quickly correct something. Don't say that if you suspect data to be a little out of date or incorrect, the policy you produce is wrong. No, you can only perfection. I'm not a religious man. Perfection is only with Almighty God. So once it looks reasonable, just believe it. It will be good. The policy will be good enough. Even if the data is slightly faulty or, like I said, out of date, it will not be bad completely. And more so, policy documents are not static. That's why you have meetings to review, to update even the law after some time, even constitution after some years you want to improve. So if we have the law now and we start implementing it, after a few years, we have newer information, new developments in the country. We got wiser. We understand things that we didn't understand, or something developed that wasn't there. We put it in the law and amend the law. So don't worry, even if you think there's one or two slight information out of that in the data utilized.
Okay. But sir, if you don't mind, I want to reference also the earlier recommendations that you have made that SMART should collaborate with any DDC.
DDC.
Yes. We have some presentations before where speakers have actually talked about these challenges of EV infrastructures, and part of the contributions that we brought out of that is what you actually articulated in your presentation today, which is challenging stakeholders and R&D like SMART and many others that we believe we are trying to bring together. Our government policy makers need us. If we stay on our own shelf and not coming out to them, they are not going to get the data. So we are the research centers that will do the research, and whatever we come up with, we need to if we want them to come to us and they don't come to us, then we need to go to them, so that we let them know all these empirical data. And as pros have mentioned, policy can be drafted. I've been involved in all these drafting of policies that I have always mentioned that we need empirical data. And they were like, let's go forward. We will always be modifying those policies as we go. So we will need the research centers and people like us to communicate with them so that they can have those data. So just to add more or reference to what Prof has already said earlier in answer to the questions.
Yes,
Over
I,
to you
I
back.
think if moderator, let me make a comment based on what Professor Ogedengbe has just said. Now, a few months ago, the Nigerian Academy of Science, where I'm now the president, it seems to me they were very conservative. They don't understand things like electric vehicle. So I organized a webinar where the current DG of NADDC talked, where some Nigerian living in Europe talked, and this young man in Maiduguri, whose picture I picked one of this in one of the slides, three of them spoke. At the end of the day, at the end of the webinar, the NADC said we should organize another webinar, wider webinar. And this is where SMART will come in. Now, when you do this write-up, I think we will do the webinar before the conference because it's in the webinar that we will now entrench SMART, push SMART into NADDC so that they can now use you to go and do the visitation to the Senate. I think with this meeting we are now doing, you are now giving me the assignment to quickly organize that bigger meeting that NADDC said we should organize. What happened that I did not invite you that time, I think I wasn't the one, the officer in charge of webinars of the Academy of Science was the one who organized it. And I was traveling all over. But this one, I'll put my hands fully. I'll be involved. But you know, when you put your hands fully, they will say you are, what do they say? You are micromanaging or something like that. All these stupid things, you know? They want you to leave them to do some rubbish. So they say you are micromanaging things. But sometimes if you don't micromanage, they will mess you up. Mm. So I'll get I'll get I'll talk to the DG to say when he wants that webinar so that I'll see if we should do it before this conference. We are not talking. So that by the time the conference conference comes, maybe we would have gone to Senate or about to go to Senate or something like that. Because really, it is worrying. They did second reading in November last year. That's 10 months. And they couldn't finish. That's why I'm saying whether the oil and gas people are trying to spoil everything.
We
So
keep moving, yes. Prof. So I will wait for that NADC webinar. But also there's also a slot 28th of next 2 weeks, which is the last live webinar we would have on this energy management before we start actively preparing for the conference. So if it's okay by you, you can get the DG to come and speak on that 28th.
On this 28th, I will talk to him. You know, he's very busy. He travels a lot, but I will try to get him. I will try to get him.
I'll follow up with you so that we can schedule him to speak for next 2 weeks. Before, let me just wait for moderator. I think we still have more questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for the insight and the Dr. Waves. Thank you very much, sir. So we'll move on rapidly to the next question. Next question asks that what is the main benefit of implementing smart charging technologies for electric vehicles? What is the main benefit?
When you say smart, if you really mean, you know, when you talk of smart, is the real meaning of smart is energy from different sources. You use this electronics, high electronics component to harmonize and coordinate them. But if you use the meaning of smart, to mean quick, fast charging, then the real meaning of smart is good. You have energy from different sources, all being directed towards charging the electric vehicles, which is good. But the smartness of quickness is something, well, to make it fast, charge very fast. Many Nigerians, let me even say, the human being doesn't want something to take long before. So it's simply to make it fast. You don't wait, so that you by the time you enter the filling station, you want to go to the gents, 5-10 minutes is fully charged, and then you move on. So they are a bit more expensive than conventional charge. In the olden days, like 5-10 years ago, when EVs came, you need to go to filling station, you need to go to charging place, you leave it there overnight, then you take it, and then slowly they reduce it, and now you can charge in 10 minutes. So this quick charging, some call them smart. But as I said, the real meaning of smart devices, smart power systems, are the ones that take electricity from different types and coordinate and harmonize them for the benefit of the user.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for that delightful answer. We really appreciate it, sir. So I'll just like to see if Dr. Odegoni have anything else to say before we bring this webinar to a close.
Yes. Thank you very much, the moderator, for that wonderful coordination of the meeting. And once again, I want to really appreciate Prof for this presentation, and particularly what comes out of the presentation itself in preparation for the conference and other live webinar that we'll be having. So tentatively, it's like we're going to have the DG, of NADDC to present to us next 2 weeks. But before next 2 weeks, there is a prof in University of Florida that will be speaking next week. And coincidentally, he opted to speak on hydrogen energy. Last 2 weeks, we have Professor Natara that spoke on hydrogen energy. But as we are looking at the issue of electric vehicles, and then also the consideration about the focus on lithium batteries for these smart mobilities, is very, very important that we start also looking in the direction of hydrogen energy, because that is another potential directions that the energy storage that can be used for the smart mobility would come from. So we don't want to always be kind of after a product is ready for the market, that's when we start doing researching. We want to ensure as smart we are very much flowing with the trend in the developed countries. So next week, Professor Sharif from the University of Florida will be speaking to us. So that's just to get all the participants prepared, and then invite others, and then those that, because of work schedule as usual, are not able to catch up with us synchronously with this live webinar, can always follow up on YouTube channel. Thank you very much, everyone. So over to you, back to round up the moderator.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone that submitted the question. Professor Sambo, thank you again for your time, your wisdom, and your undeniable experience to make this webinar a very, very insightful one. So to our audience, I hope you leave today with a feeling inspired and armed with a new knowledge. Let's also continue to make research on our own part to better understand how we can move this energy, push this energy transition forward. So Ezekiel Belosin, on behalf of Smart Energy X and the University of Lagos, thank you for joining us today. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye, sir.